Alright, we are going into the bathroom now to specifically try and find the leak in the resort pool. Alright, what I've done is I inflated it and then I partially filled the bathtub with water. Now hopefully we'll be able to put the pool into the water and see the bubbles as they come out and then know where the leaks are. Taking into account, I can actually get it into the bathtub at all.
Okay. In case you're wondering what this is all about, this little pool is an integral part of the coronavirus resort, sometimes called Pirates Bay Resort, that I built on a tiny patio of my Orlando, Florida apartment to keep myself amused and from going insane during the governor's stay-at-home order. And since there was a heat wave here for most of April, the resort, which I admit takes a lot of imagination to pull off, is a great alternative to Netflix and day drinking.
There you are, you little sucker. Right now, I got the pool out of the bathroom and into the living room, as you can see. And I actually identified where the holes were in the bathtub last night. And so, I actually have got them repaired. As you can see right here. There's one of the repairs jobs right there. So, I guess now it's time. Now that I got all that done, I think it's time to take the pool back outside and fill it full of water again. Using the bucket technique, just like before. But then we'll have the resort back. This is just in time for the lockdown release, meaning we're not going to have to just stay in the back anymore. However, there is such a thing as social distancing, so the coronavirus resort's going to have to do. And there we have it, pumped up to its former glory, with no sagging in the rings. Yeah, time to get it outside. Well, now that the pool is filled, it's back into the blue waters of Sea Dog Davies Reef. Alright, the arduous task of refilling the pool is over. So now it's time to sit back out on the coronavirus resort and enjoy a cocktail, in which this case we're having a margarita in a Captain Morgan cannonball. Well, that's true. That is true. This is a Captain Morgan cannonball, but it's margarita time. And now, before anything else, it's into the water. Remember, no diving. Ah, yes. Welcome to the coronavirus resort. Boy, I'll tell you what, filling the water when the sun already came up, man, the water's nice and warm already. That's awesome. So, this has been fine for social distancing. This has been kind of a good time to spend your time while we were down for the coronavirus pandemic, for lockdown. But tomorrow, everything opens up again. I still haven't decided whether or not I'm going to keep all this up and running. I might just do that, because there's still social distancing to be had, and I doubt our backyard pool's going to be open. So, you know, what the heck? No diving, right?
You know, there isn't a lot to see diving the blue waters of Sea Dog Davies Reef, but it does bring back memories, like diving a shipwreck under the green waters of Cannon Beach in Key Largo.
Well, okay, that was refreshing, I must admit. So, hey, you guys like my cowboy hat? Yeah, no, I haven't lost my mind, and I'm not going to go gallop off into the range, but I've had this particular hat for like, oh my God. Well, here's what I got it. My second wife, Kathy Bailey, her name was before she married me. she liked to travel. And so when we were together, we went everywhere in the Pacific West and down through Mexico.
Our favorite destination was Ensenada, Mexico, a coastal seaport 70 miles south of the border. The town itself had been built around this bar, established on a stage line in June 1892. This is Husong's Cantina. I can't ever remember not having an outrageously good time at Husong's. They brewed their own beer. They distilled their own brand of tequila. It was literally the twilight zone of drunkenness. I still remember when Jeff Gonzer and Ace Young, the morning guys at the Mighty Met, KMET, held their live Finally a Friday event at Husong's. So immoral we had to hold it on another country, Gonzer said. So outrageous we had to hold it on another day. Of course, Kathy and I were there, and I'm amazed they let us out of the country instead of burying us in a Mexican jail after that.
Just as much travel as we could get was never enough. One time in a trip, we were in Nevada, and I think we stopped for gas. And it was at a little gift shop that was there. And she found this particular cowboy hat and bought it for me. That was the early 80s, and everything, cowboy boots, cowboy hats, everything cowboy was really, really hip then. If you watched a Beach Boys concert, you noticed that Mike Love always wore a cowboy hat in those days. It all came about because of John Travolta's movie Urban Cowboy was really, really popular. It seemed like at that point, anytime Travolta did anything, it became a trend. You know, he was the one that started the whole '50s nostalgia thing with Grease. Then he came back with Saturday Night Fever, and pretty much single-handed started the disco revolution. Then, of course, in the early '80s, it was Urban Cowboy, which started this whole fashion. Of course, Urban Cowboy was filmed at a bar called Gillies. This just massive country bar called Gillies, somewhere in Texas. I want to say Dallas, but I'm not really sure. But it inspired everyone right there in the early 80s to open cowboy bars, not just country western bars, but cowboy bars. And I remember there was one in Torrance, California, where I was living at the time, and Kathy and I, we went down there so that I could check the place out and actually write a column for the Beach Reporter newspaper where I was working at the time. And the one thing I remember about it is getting inside. And first of all, they featured nothing but Lone Star beer, which is a beer that's popular in Texas, but really kind of tastes like boiled rubber. And everybody had to drink it because it's Lone Star, you know? But what I remember most is here was this dance floor that had a corral built around it, a fence post built around it so it looked like a corral. And there's these two guys, all dressed up in their cowboy finest, right? Leaning against the corral with their thumbs tucked into their giant belts. And one of them, they're watching the dancers. One of them looks at one of the girls in particular. He looks back at his friend, he goes, "Fine looking little heifer." And his friend goes, "Yeah, high stepping 10-stepper." And this is Torrance, California. I started actually laughing so hard that Kathy had to drag me away from there because, I mean, everybody started looking at me right away. I'm just dying. High stepping 10-stepper. Oh my God, but you can blame all this on Travolta. But at any rate, so I wore this hat on every trip that we took from that time on. It was just like my travel hat. And you can kind of tell how it's worn. I mean, you know, you can see the sweat lines on it and all that stuff. This thing has been with me for a while. I don't wear it that often because, you know, cowboy style just isn't what it was back in those days. But every now and again, especially things like the coronavirus resort, sort of brings it back out, the nostalgia of travel. So we're back to this again. You know, when I'm out here, I can't help but wonder what my cat, Beach Bum, would have thought of all this. Because right about here is where he always used to lay. In fact, his favorite place was up in this tree, which to this day is called Beach Bum's tree. Beach Bum's tree. As anyone who's watched my channel knows, Beach Bum was my cat. He was perfectly healthy until mid-March, same time as I both lost my job and showed symptoms for COVID-19. I had a sore throat, a dry cough, and a mini-stroke. He stopped eating, developed a wet sneeze, got extremely lethargic, became short of breath. Finally, 7 days later, his poor little lungs filled with fluid and he died. I can still feel him around me. Many is the night I can physically feel him jump up on the bed. And more times than I can tell you, I've seen him up here in the tree. That's right. We're up in Beach Bum's tree. Actually, Beach Bum used to always lie right there. That was his spot. That was where he always sat. The fact that we're up here now, well, what can I tell you? It's a tribute to him. Meanwhile, down on the resort, wow. You know, many was the time when I would just go in to take a bath. Beach would come into the bathroom, scream his head off, try and grab hold of me somehow or another so that he could drag me out of the water and save me. I gotta admit though, I would give anything to see him running across the lawn just to save me right about now. You know, I'll tell you what, since this might be the very last day of the usefulness of the coronavirus resort, I mean, it is May 2nd, so that means tomorrow we might be able to go everywhere and come off of lockdown and this won't be necessary anymore. I think we'll use the full facilities of the resort. Meaning, we're going to barbecue too. Ta-da! Yeah, baby, let's cue.
We have a nice thick pork chop to toss on the grill. We'll be pairing that with an ear of sweet corn on the cob. Oh crap, I forgot to clean the stovetop after the chili boiled over last night. Or was it last week? Come on, be a little more forgiving. I'm a bachelor after all, and time does funny things when you're on lockdown.
Now, of course, when we're talking about barbecue, we're talking about barbecuing over charcoal. Because, if you do propane, all you're doing is just dragging a stove out onto the patio. No, charcoal is the only way to barbecue. And I don't know, I'm the one in the cowboy hat.
Oh, I see our table is ready in the Coronavirus Resort Seaside Dining Room, formerly my living room, which is why there are DVDs all over the floor. And a little angry pumpkin guy who can't understand why it isn't Halloween every day. Of course, my pet werewolf Larry feels the same way.
Yeah, corn on the cob.
Wow, looks absolutely perfect. And thanks to our intrepid Coronavirus Resort waiter. No bones to pick with this guy.
And as they say, dinner is served. All right, got sundown now. And all the lights are on too. The end of the night, barbecue was good. The end of the resort. And hopefully tomorrow everything will be open, and perhaps the need for the coronavirus resort will be gone. But until then, this has been a pretty good time. I hope you've enjoyed spending some time with me here. I hope everybody's safe. I hope everybody comes out all right. And yeah, as we used to say back in the day, peace out.
If you like what you've seen today, be a friend to the channel and subscribe. And when you do, hit that little bell for notifications. Like us and share us too. We're all in this together. And for more of what you've just seen, check out these earlier episodes of The Last Wanderer of Mars. Find all of these programs and 100 others on the Last Wanderer of Mars playlist on Davies Drive-In Theater Pictures channel, The Last Wanderer of Mars.